I'm gonna call this year the bad tomato year. All these tomatoes are dead. A lot of them are rotting, so I wasn't able to harvest a lot of them. They were all falling off the vines because the vines are dead. We have been receiving, during the peak of tomato season, we received tons of rain, which caused all the tomatoes to just die. And the tomatoes that I planted later in the season are actually doing good. They're starting to produce fruit. I might be able to harvest a few fruits off of them before the frost hits, which is okay. Last season I was able to preserve enough tomatoes for the whole year, and I ran out of them just about, I would say, about a month ago. I ran out of my tomato produce from last year. So what I'm going to do here, I have lots of bad ones in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop off the bad parts, and I'm going to wash them and freeze them until I'm ready to process them. I like to dice them and freeze dry them, and it's super easy to use them that way. And I also like to make tomato puree and tomato sauce and can them, and we use lots of that. I also make powdered tomato powder. Oh, the mosquitoes are eating me all up. I also make tomato powder, and I make pasta sauce and powdered pasta sauce. Ow! And that's also really good. I'm gonna go inside now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow because the mosquitoes are eating me up. Bye! Hello everyone, so today we are going to be harvesting whatever we can from our summer garden. So let's go ahead and get harvesting. Of course, as soon as I decided to come out here and start filming and planning on harvesting, it starts raining, so I have to head inside again. I don't know when this is going to happen because it keeps raining, so I'll try again later. So before we continue, I want to talk about the elephant in the room over here. These tomatoes, all my tomatoes really. So these tomatoes over here actually grew on their own. They came up from some of the seeds from the tomatoes that I threw in here for compost. And I love when that happens, when just nature kind of grows its own produce and provide us with produce itself, because that typically is the best produce because it's growing at the right time and it's producing beautiful fruits. But my tomatoes are all looking kind of this way. I mean, not all of them, but a lot of them. And one of the reasons for this is, well, these over here, they were smothered by weeds, and I didn't have any trellising for them or anything like that. So they were all on their own. I didn't even give them water. All the water that they received was from the rain. And yes, we do get a lot of rain, but we also go through periods of drought. When we go, like in the spring, for example, we went through a short period of drought, and then, that's a beautiful butterfly. And then in the summer, what is that, I think? Not sure what that is. Let me try to show you. I'll have to look that up. I'm not sure what this butterfly is. It's beautiful though. It's not a monarch, but that is a beautiful butterfly. So, I think I was talking about drought. So these plants have to survive on their own because they didn't receive any irrigation from me, and as I was saying, we go through the summer periods of rain where it kind of drowns everything, and then periods of no rain whatsoever and hot weather, and that starves the plants if they require the water, and the heat is just kind of like killing them. We have high humidity as well, so it's a lot for plants to take. And I feel like this year all of New England is kind of suffering in the tomato realm because of this thing, because of the weather that we've been having. It's either super dry with high, like no rain whatsoever with high humidity, or tons of rain and drowning the plants. So some of my tomatoes have died. The tomatoes that I planted later in the season are actually doing okay, but I haven't trellised any of my tomatoes because I just didn't get the time to do this year. I haven't been able to be in the garden for a long time, and finally I'm able to be in the garden, but I have so much to do that the tomatoes are kind of like on the back, they're, how do you say that, on the back seat, on the back shelf. I think that's how you say that. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay. They have given me some tomatoes. That's totally fine. And I'll see if I can get some tomatoes from our local farm stores, places like that, so that I can preserve the produce for the winter or for the upcoming year. I really love to grow organic food. I love to harvest the food from our own garden for varieties of reasons, and the main reason is health. And I personally myself, I have so many issues. My body just cannot digest a lot of the food from the store, so I have to be very careful on what I put in my body. For example, one of the only things now I've been able to drink when it comes to milk is raw milk, and not all raw milk, just from like specific cows. I am lactose intolerant, but for some reason I'm able to tolerate that milk. You know, like I still feel some sort of side effects, but not nearly as bad as when I purchased the store-bought milk that's designed for lactose intolerant people and all of the different milks that they have. So for that reason, for example, I'm freeze drying the raw milk that I'm purchasing, so that in the case that I'm not able to purchase raw milk anymore, that specific raw milk, I can have some of it in the winter. So I not only want to grow food just for us to enjoy throughout the summer, but I also want to grow food that we can preserve in the winter, not only for my health, but for my family's health. And I do touch on this subject a lot when I'm here in the garden, because I think it's very important, and I think that people, have been suffering a lot recently, I feel like, from all sorts of different health issues because of all the things that they put in our food, all the preservatives and all the chemicals that they spray them with and make them all shiny and all that, all these things, so that people would be attracted to them and want to purchase them. So this is why we grow our own food over here, for this reason. So now that I touched on the tomatoes and you guys have seen how much I harvested from these tomatoes, I still have some that I'm probably going to harvest some before the frost comes, but it looks like the frost is going to be coming pretty early this year because it's a little chilly right now. It's like in the upper 60s, low 70s. I don't even think it's 70 right now. I think it's in the 60s. That's how it feels like. And I feel like we're going to have a harsh winter. I could be wrong, but I don't know. So I need to find all my hoops and my frost covers to make sure that I'm going to be getting a fall harvest this season, because I planted a lot of plants in here. And I will be today clearing up the onion bed. It's full of weeds, and I need to harvest the onions. I harvested already some of the onions. I'll show you that clip in just a second. The kids helped me with that, but right now I need to harvest the rest of the onions so that I can plant some broccoli and cauliflower in that bed. So let's go ahead. I'll show you the clip, and then we'll harvest the rest of the onions.
Mama,
Hold on, I can't see a thing. Look at this giant onion.
All our onions are big, or at least most of them. And they're like eating the tops too. You can eat every part of the onion, except the roots.
Oh, I wanted to keep this one so I could flour. And plant it again.
Here's some. Can you put that in the basket? What basket? That basket. Okay. There are a lot of onions. I don't know. No, this basket. I'm showing it to them.
Showing the onions to the camera. Because I want it to flower.
Okay.
Oh, there's another one that's flowering.
Shane was showing the onions to the
Okay, the
camera.
ones that are flowering, I want to leave them so I can harvest the seeds from them.
I'm not taste one
Shane
was showing the onions to the camera. I'm not take one of the onions. Ah, there we go.
Look at these onions, Serenity. Look at them.
Ew. There we go.
These are perfect.
They're huge. I can't carry it. I can't carry that either. I think I'm going to start putting them in another basket.
Okay.
This one. Pull it. Pull it. Oh, good job. And taste it. You can taste it when we get inside. I'm tasting it right now. No, Serenity.
It's okay, I let her do it.
Okay. Oh, look at that worm. Could I?
Some of them you need to... Oh, the dirt is so hard over here. It's ridiculous.
Where did I put it?
Oh, yeah.
Underneath it's soft, but otherwise it's hard. What block? Oh, that block. Okay.
So this variety of onions is smaller than the other variety over there. See the difference?
This onion is stuck to the ground.
Dig around it with my gloves, and then you can get it out on the ground.
Onion. I want an onion. I want an onion from this. I pick onion from this.
So this is the second onion bed. Whenever I had the time throughout this season, like maybe 2 to 5 minutes maximum, I would come here and weed. But lately I have been focusing on the other beds that I just wanted to clear up so that I could plant. And today we're going to focus on this bed. I still have quite a bit of beds that I need to clear up and replant. But for now, let's go ahead and clear up this onion bed and harvest the rest of the onions and get this bed ready for planting. So I'll probably, if it doesn't rain again, put some chicken manure in here so that we can plant the broccoli and the cauliflower in this bed. I won't be planting it today. I'll probably plant it off video whenever I have the time. But right now, that's what we're gonna do. So this whole onion bed is now cleared up. I harvested all the onions and weeded the bed and around it. And I don't consider the bed weeded until I weed all around it, because the weeds over here can seed themselves in the bed. And when the weeds grow in this mat over here, it's super easy to pull them as long as they are an annual grass like over there. And what I really should do is when we mow the lawn over here in this area, I should get the blower and just clean it up. I don't always have the time to do that. And this lawn we don't mow often. My plan for this area is actually to cover it all in mulch and maybe grow something in this area over here in this open space and have irrigation around these trees so that we don't have to mow around them. And I also want to kind of prune them in an espalier type or shape so that they're not blocking the lights for these beds over here. Right now they're not, but I don't want them to, and I want to keep controlling their size so that they don't grow too big. These are a couple apple trees over here, and this is a pear tree. And this year we don't have amazing pears on it or an amazing amount of pears either, but it's alright. Last year we had a lot of pears and I was able to preserve tons of them, and we still have some, so we can eat those. And the cart over there is full of weeds. So this over here was a vole's nest, and I just saw the mama just a second ago. She was looking for her babies, and as I was weeding over here, I was wearing gloves, but I squished one of the voles with my hands, not knowing that there is a vole's nest over here. And this is what they do. They just kind of gather grasses and make their nest with these material, the grasses. And I saw lots of dirt in here that was dug up, and I didn't realize what was going on until I squished it. I didn't kill it, but let's just say it was a very unpleasant experience. This whole box, which is really big, I mean, this is my foot over here, and this is the box next to it, and it's a giant box. And this is the second bed that I planted in here. I harvested a small part of it over there earlier, maybe like 2 or 3 weeks ago. These onions should have been harvested at that time, really, but I didn't have the time. We ended up with a lot of large onions and a lot of small onions as well, and some of the large onions unfortunately did rot, and I was able to save the core off of them. So for the onions that are not doing super well, I'm just going to freeze dry them. I'll chop them up and freeze dry them, and I'll preserve most of my onions this way, because that's really the best way to preserve them. I might freeze some, I don't know, but these are the red Florence onions, I think, or I have 2 different types of red onions. I feel like one grows large onions and one grows more smaller onions. I did not amend this bed a second time throughout the season, throughout the growing season. If I did, they would have grown even larger. The other bed that I harvested the onions from, I did amend it a second time, and those onions are gigantic. And oh, there's the mama vole right there. She's looking for her babies. They all ran away. So hopefully they'll move out of here. I don't want them in the garden. So anyways, as I was saying, I did amend the other bed a second time throughout the season, and that helped those onions grow really big. And I also was kind of on top of it and weeding it often, so the weeds didn't take hold in that place, and they didn't take a lot of the nutrients out of the bed. In this bed, however, the weeds took hold and they grew gigantically, and they stole a lot of the nutrients out of the onions, and also the sunlight, because some of the onions that were growing on the inside of the bed, like the middle, those were really small because they weren't able to have enough sunlight in order to grow, to store up energy in the root, and that's what causes them to grow these big onions. That's the onions need to see the sunlight in order to start growing their bulbs, and the longer the days are, the more sunlight there is, the bigger the bulbs will get. And because these onions that were in the middle were buried and weren't able to receive that sunlight, this is the reason why they're small. It's alright, I'll still be able to use them, no big deal. Hopefully next year will be better, and I'll be able to be on top of the weeds and all that stuff, and I'll be able to keep the garden in check. We'll see. I don't know. This year was a little bit challenging. Will next year be this way also? I don't know. There's a chance of that. There's always a chance of that. But I'm thankful for this harvest. So now I'm going to harvest all the peppers that I can harvest, and then the eggplants, and I'm going to stop for today. I still have, actually I have basil and lots of herbs and stuff like that need to be harvested, but I'm not going to do it today because those need to be processed right away. And right now the freeze dryer is occupied, and I'll harvest those on a different day. Also, I have lots of potatoes that need to be harvested as well. I'll harvest those on a completely separate day. I don't want to include that in this video because that takes a lot of time, a lot of work. and I don't want to do this today. So let's go ahead and get the peppers and the eggplants harvested. We're going to start with the peppers first. So out of all the eggplants that I planted, I only harvested 2. I did harvest before a few eggplants, but I think the reason why there aren't any eggplants over there is because there's tons of forget-me-nots in there, and the bees are going for the forget-me-nots and they are not pollinating the eggplants. I saw a lot of eggplant flowers that were not pollinated, and that was my doing. It's not the eggplant's fault. Also, the forget-me-nots are taking up all the nutrients away from the eggplants, and the eggplants are not really growing vigorously like they did last year. Last year the eggplants did amazing, and I was able to harvest tons of eggplants off of my eggplants because I was able to stay on top of them and keep the weeds off of them. Also, mosquitoes are eating me alive. I always forget to spray myself with mosquito repellent when I go out here, and I always get eaten up by mosquitoes, and I have like a gazillion mosquito bites on me. A gazillion mosquito bite, I should say. So today we harvested the tomatoes, the eggplants, the peppers, and the onions over several days, of course, and you guys saw the harvest that I was able to get, and I still have lots of peppers that are growing on the peppers. I should start putting my my hoops over them so that I can get another harvest off of them before the frost hits, because if the frost hits early I won't be able to harvest this crop, and I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to protect them. So once the temperatures kind of start going down into the 50s, low 50s and upper 40s, I'm going to start putting my row covers on them so that they can produce another crop for us and we'll be able to harvest more. So I'm super thankful for what I was able to get out of this garden, considering that I wasn't able to be in it that much. I did plant. That's about all I was able to do this year. Hopefully this fall I'll be able to get some more harvest of the fall crops that I planted before the snow falls. We'll see. And if you guys enjoyed this video, please click a thumbs up, and you can see behind me this hedge of salvia that I planted earlier this year, and I planted all these salvias from seed, and they are looking amazing. I'm loving them. So I hope they will survive this for the next year, so that I don't have to figure out what I'm going to be planting in here, because as I have said in other videos, these salvias turns out that they're perennials to zone 6 and not our zone. We are zone 5. So I'm really hoping that these will come back for us. We'll see. It depends on what kind of a winter we will have. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you are new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications of whenever I upload new videos. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.